Super duper. Okay, so I'm gonna I guess tear apart or show how I made the song. People that are familiar with my songs know that I lean really heavily on kind of simple melodies that are catchy. I mean, yeah, definitely catchy for the people that listen to them. I usually start off with drums, so it's just a kick and a snare pattern, and add a lot of reverb on the snare. But I ended up playing with the reverb and tremolo on the snare. Yeah. Some hi-hat and loops, just to give it a typical drum and bass pattern. So I was messing around with just those three chords and with that melody over them. So that's the main kind of hook of the song. I ended up putting in strings. I put strings in most of my songs, like little orchestral breaks. And so instead of building up into a bigger orchestral climax, I kind of just made it fall back into that initial Rhodes piano bit. I try to pull as much as I possibly can into orchestral stuff and pianos and real instruments, because that's how I'm hearing it in my head. I'm hearing kind of dramatic, cinematic, and kind of just real. I want it to sound real to people. I want people to go oh, this is, this could be in a movie that sounds like an orchestra. My entire exposure to classical and orchestral type stuff was through video games and movies. It was always paired with a narrative device. It was always paired with a story. I wouldn't kind of just sit and listen to the Nutcracker or something like that. I would have to be looking at a movie, and then all of a sudden I would tie that music to that story or this song to this character. It definitely all comes from video games, which is maybe why it sounds the way it is, or movies, which is why it sounds the way it is. I'm kind of trying to tell this narrative story with the songs. And so I lean heavily on simplistic melodies. And I feel if you just take any few notes, I would say no greater than 7 notes, and just play with those notes. Just pick, anywhere from 4 to 7 notes on the piano and mess with those as much as you can, and then just come up with something very, very short that doesn't go too far. And I mean, it sounds like you're trying to dumb down your music, because literally this song that I've shown for this entire stream is just those 4 notes. There's a slight diversion at a certain point, but it's still just those 4 notes. And so you can have a really complex bass line. You can have a really complex drum pattern. You can go all over the place with your drum. You can have all kinds of weird things. I mean, I've showed you guys that I have the frosting layer, I have birds chirping, dogs barking. The rest of the song is sonic chaos. But if you can kind of nail in a very simple melody pretty early on, you can kind of have your cake and eat it too, which is that you're making a very simple song that the casual listener to is going to hear, and they're going to take this kind of earworm, this cookie away, and they're going to be able to hum that a lot and remember that and like the song for that. But then you're also going to be able to kind of flex sonically around the song with a crazy bass line, or you have a weird synth line that just happens for a second. Just little rolls and arps. Or you can have a guitar that comes in halfway through that just plays a few notes. In my experience, the way I've been able to find songs that I'm most happy with, but that also please the casual listener, is by making something memorable and not alienatingly complex. I would say, because I think as a musician, you want to Especially when you know how to do something, you're like, hey, I know how to do this crazy thing. Why not do this in every single song? I know how to make a weird time signature, and that's what I want to hear. So you want to make every song in a weird time signature, which is fine too. But I'm just saying, there's a way to make complex music, but also make it really catchy for people.